So in the NFL right now, there are only 5 teams that are undefeated and 3-0. So today I'm going to be discussing whether they are actually contenders or just pretenders for the season. But starting out with the Carolina Panthers, this is a team I really don't want to overreact to too much. We can see the schedule here. Week 1 was the Jets, Week 2 the Saints, and Week 3 the Houston Texans. 3 garbage teams, obviously. I mean, the Saints were coming off that crazy win, so I think I took them for Week 2. But in the end, really, as we've seen now, 3 not great teams at all. I think that they're going to definitely be put to the test this week versus the Cowboys. Their defense has been better than we thought it would be, especially with Parsons and stuff. This offense looking legit with Dak Prescott finally confirmed back, especially after these couple weeks. But, you know, this Panthers team led by Sam Darnold, they've been looking great. CMC's unfortunately going to be out this game as he got injured again with the hamstring injury on Thursday Night Football last week against the Texans. But like I said, they're definitely going to be put to the test this week against the Cowboys. And call me crazy, but if the Panthers can actually win this game versus the Cowboys on Sunday, I think that they can definitely beat the Eagles, and they could beat the Vikings for sure. If they can beat the Cowboys, I think they can beat the Vikings. They can beat the Giants, Falcons, Patriots pretty simply. And then the Cardinals might give them some trouble, but they can literally start out the season 9-0. And like, if we want to say that they maybe lose to the Cowboys and the Vikings, that's still 7-2. A crazy start to a season with their first season with Sam Darnold at the head of that team. So I mean, it's looking so far like I kind of underestimated this team. I really didn't look at their schedule too closely because they really don't have much of a hard schedule. They're really only like above 500 teams that they could have this season are probably maybe the Cowboys, Vikings, Cardinals, maybe Miami, maybe probably Buffalo, and then the Bucks, and then the Bucks again. So really, they don't have much of a hard schedule at all. I really kind of skipped past this team, but they could actually, but for right now, I don't think that they're going to be pretenders nor really contenders, but I'm going to put them in the middle, basically saying that they are contenders for the playoffs, not the Super Bowl, but also not really pretenders. Next up is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I kind of want to give this team more credit than the Panthers just because they've faced way more competitive teams. First of all, the Titans, which I think the Titans were expected to win that game. A lot of people picked them. I took the Cardinals having faith in them, and they actually kind of blew the Titans out. Week 2, they faced the Vikings. They beat them. Then week 3, the Jaguars. It was a decently close game through halftime, so that was kind of a scare, but they kind of got it together. The Rams are actually up next, but that's who they face this week. So I think that, so far, these teams are going to be getting a challenge this week. So one of these teams are not going to be undefeated after the season because we have the Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams are up next, but, we'll get to that in a second. But, the Cardinals are going against the Rams this week, and that's going to be a crazy tough matchup. I'm going to talk about them in a second, but the Cardinals have been doing really, really nice this season. D-Hop, Kyler Murray, that dynamic dude is looking great, and it's looking like they really don't need that star running back on that team to do too well. I think James Conner, Chase Edmonds, that main running back on that team, but obviously that's not really a superstar at all in this league, and it's been working out fine. They have an insane receiving core. AJ Green has been so far kind of quiet this season. Rondale Moore has been that exciting rookie. He's been one of the top rookies this season so far. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and somebody else, I forgot his name in there too. But we've seen Kyler Murray. He's been honestly being that starting running back on that team too here and there. So this Cardinals team is very fun to watch. Even defensively, I forgot to mention, Chandler Jones obviously had 5 sacks week 1 against the Titans, which was absolutely insane. But this Cardinals team is very fun to watch. So this week against against the Rams, that's going to be a crazy, crazy good game. I think they play at I guess they play at 4:00. So that's going to be a crazy, crazy fun game to watch. As next week but I forgot to mention, I think the Cardinals are they're definitely not pretenders, but I really don't want to consider them as complete contenders for the Super Bowl. So I'm going to kind of put them at the same stage as the Panthers. Not really contenders or pretenders, but kind of in the middle, contending for the playoffs. But I do think in the end that they should be able to easily make it. But like I said, moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this team has probably been the best in the NFL and most respected too so far this season. Week 1, they faced the Bears. Not the greatest team, not the worst team though, with that tough defense. Andy Dalton starting, so they were expected to win that game. They pretty easily got that win on Sunday Night Football. Now with the Colts week 2, this was what I thought would be a closer matchup, which it was. It was actually the Colts had a chance to drive down and tie the game or win the game, whatever it was. But in the end, Carson Wentz got injured, and Jacob Eason threw an interception literally right to Jalen Ramsey to end that game. But if Carson Wentz was in, Who knows what would have happened? Maybe he drives down, wins the game for the Colts. Like I said, we don't really know, but that was a very close game that Indy stayed in the whole entire time. And then they go back to LA to face the reigning Super Bowl champs in the Buccaneers, who are also undefeated within the first 2 weeks, but they played garbage teams also. But, you know, they face the Bucs and they end up beating them. Matthew Stafford and the Rams look perfect, honestly. That defense with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, they kept the Bucs from scoring. They turned it over multiple times, and they kept the Bucs from scoring multiple possessions, which led the offense to scoring most plays, whether it was Kupp or Robert Woods or Sony Michel or whatever it was. They kept putting points on the board, which gave the Rams the win, and they've really impressed me. I mean, I knew that they were going to be good. I literally have them going to the Super Bowl, but you know, I didn't really know if they were going to be this good. So here they are. Now they're 3-0, and they really do have a challenge next week, like I said, with the Cardinals, who, I mean, like I've just been saying before, they're a really good team. So that should be a very, very fun matchup to watch, as one of those teams are not going to be undefeated after this week. But in the end, I'm saying the Rams, they're definitely not contenders. They're not even contenders for the playoffs. They're completely Super Bowl contenders. They can go out and win the Super Bowl if they really wanted to. I have them going to the Super Bowl, but losing to Buffalo, but that could definitely change by any cost. So I think that the Rams have a legitimate chance at winning the Super Bowl this season. Next up is the Raiders. Now, this team might be the most surprising through this season. First of all, week 1, that crazy Monday Night Football thriller over the Ravens and somehow beating them in overtime, just back and forth the whole game. Probably the game of the year, honestly, and it was literally one of the first games of the year, so it's just crazy. Week 2 against the Steelers, they were literally expected to lose that one too, with the Steelers coming off that win over the Bills. I expected the Steelers to win that game, but no, the Raiders ended up beating them too. And then the Dolphins, this one really hurt me, went into overtime once again, so the Raiders are already with 2 overtime games out of their first 3, and we lost, and on a game with losing field goal to Daniel Carlson, who gave them the win week 1. Well, sent it to overtime week 1, so he kind of saved the day for them too. So, you know, the Raiders look very, very hot, and I feel like this is where that undefeated streak ends. I think that they will be losing this week to the Chargers. I know it sucks, you know, all good things end up coming to an end, but I feel like either way, this is going to come to an end soon. If they can beat the Chargers this week, then it could definitely continue for a while, because they end up facing the Chargers week 4. Like I said, if they can beat them, they have the Bears week 5. That could easily be a win. Actually, the schedule is right here. The Broncos week 6 could definitely be a win. Week 7, the Eagles, that'll most likely be a win anyways. Giants should pretty easily be a win, and they could literally possibly carry this out all the way to week 10, just like the Panthers, and possibly start out the season 9-0. I feel like it'll all come down to this week 4 game, because if they can win this game versus the Chargers, they can get that streak finally flowing continuously and lead it all the way through the bye week until they face the Chiefs, obviously. But you know, I think that the Raiders actually beat them once last year, so, you know, anything's possible, but I feel like it'll all come down to this game, because if they lose this game, you know, that momentum might stop. Maybe they have some trouble versus the Broncos or the Bears. But speaking of the Broncos, next up, I forgot to mention, I keep forgetting this, but I feel like the Raiders, I don't really want to say that they're contenders. I'm going to say that they're pretenders, so our first pretender here. So the Raiders, to me, they're pretenders. I don't really think that they're going to make the playoffs. You can mark my words. If they do make the playoffs, I'll end up just eating my words. But I do not think that they will be making the playoffs this season at all. But next up, like I said, speaking of the Broncos, we have the Denver Broncos, who are also 3-0. Their first 3 weeks, definitely not impressive at all. Week 1, they faced the Giants. Week 2, they faced the Jaguars. And week 3, they faced the Jets. So if you do the math right, that's a combined 0-9 record so far this season between those 3 teams. So, you know, a decently bad record there. Week 4, they're going against the Ravens, and then they have the Steelers, and then they have the Raiders right after that. So, and then they have Washington, and then they have the Cowboys. So I would not be surprised if right after they win these 3 consecutive games, call me crazy. I mean, I don't really think it's too crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they have a bye week in week 7. No, sorry, that's the Browns. I thought that was a bye week. No, okay, so they have the Browns week 7 too. So mark that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight losses. I would not be surprised. You know, they beat the Giants, Jags, and then the Jets, and then as you can see here, I think that they'll lose to the Ravens, Steelers, Raiders, Browns, Washington, and Dallas. I don't think it's really that crazy to guess. Teddy Bridgewater in this Broncos defense, I mean, I'm not too big of a believer in Teddy Bridgewater, but this defense is definitely one of the best in the league. And, you know, it's kind of been carrying, not really carrying, but kind of carrying them through the first couple games. And I really wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos completely started fumbling the bag in these next couple games. So I'm also say, based off of the fact that I think they're going to lose the next 6 games, pretty obviously that I think that they are pretenders for the season too. So that's basically it. I feel like the Broncos, the Raiders, those 2 teams are pretenders, while the Rams, Cardinals, while the Panthers and Cardinals are kind of contenders for the playoffs, and the Rams are just full-on contenders for the season. Now, there's obviously some teams with a loss or 2 possibly that are even contenders for the Super Bowl still. You know, Bucks, Chiefs, Seahawks, Packers. You know, those teams are obviously contending for the Super Bowl. Same with the Bills too. But you know, they ran to a 1 or 2 unlucky games. So the Chiefs are 1 and 2 to start the season. They are dead last in the AFC West, which is fun to see, but you know, when they start winning a couple games, it's not going to be too fun anymore. But either way, that'll wrap up the video of contenders and pretenders through week 3, the undefeated teams. Thursday Night Football is going on now, so I'm definitely going to hop off and watch that. Either way, that'll wrap up. See you in the next one. Peace.